Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the most pressing stories from around the world. I'm your host, Walter. Today, we're going to start with a heartbreaking tale of courage and tragedy from Sudan. We've been following the developments in Sudan, where the conflict has led to devastating humanitarian crises. One story that has caught our attention is that of Mohamed Douda, a young activist who risked everything to expose the atrocities committed by the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, in the city of Fasher. Douda's story is one of bravery and selflessness. Despite knowing that his actions could put him in grave danger, he continued to share updates about the situation on the ground, documenting human rights abuses and trying to help those in need. His accounts of life under siege were a testament to the resilience of the people of Fasher, who have been subjected to unbearable conditions, including food and water shortages. The RSF's campaign of violence and intimidation has led to widespread arrests and killings, with many civilians caught in the crossfire. The international community has condemned these actions, but so far, little has been done to stop the bloodshed. Douda's fate is a tragic reminder of the risks faced by those who dare to speak out against injustice. His death has sent shockwaves through the activist community, with many mourning the loss of a true hero. As one campaigner noted, Douda's passing represents the loss of an entire generation of Sudanese activists and youth who had been strategically targeted by the RSF. As we reflect on Douda's story, it's essential to acknowledge the complexity of the conflict in Sudan and the need for a nuanced understanding of the issues at play. We must also recognize the bravery of individuals like Douda, who gave their lives to bring attention to the plight of their people. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're continuing our coverage of the latest developments around the world. Today, we're focusing on a story that's been gaining attention in recent weeks: the U.S. military strikes against alleged drug carriers in the Caribbean. According to reports from multiple sources, including CBS News and the Pentagon, the U.S. has carried out at least 15 lethal strikes against vessels suspected of being involved in narcotic smuggling since early September. The latest strike, announced by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on Saturday, resulted in the deaths of 3 people. The U.S. government has justified these attacks as a necessary escalation to stem the flow of drugs into the United States, with President Trump asserting that the country is engaged in an armed conflict with drug cartels. However, not everyone agrees with this assessment. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has accused the U.S. of violating international law, and some experts have questioned the legality of these strikes. The UN's human rights chief, Volker Turk, has also weighed in on the issue, stating that such attacks are a violation of international human rights law. Over 60 people have reportedly been killed in a continuing series of attacks carried out by U.S. armed forces. In circumstances that find no justification in international law, he said. It's worth noting that the U.S. has not provided detailed information about the legal justification for these strikes, nor has it released specifics about which cartels have been targeted and the individuals killed. This lack of transparency has raised concerns among some lawmakers and human rights groups. As we continue to follow this story, it's essential to consider multiple perspectives and evaluate the evidence. The issue of drug trafficking is complex, and the U.S. government's approach to addressing it has sparked debate and controversy. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments in this story and providing updates as more information becomes available. In the meantime, we encourage our listeners to think critically about the issues at play and consider the potential implications of the U.S. military's actions in the Caribbean. Welcome back to Concrete Block. As we wrap up today's show, let's take a closer look at the latest polling numbers and what they might mean for the upcoming elections. A recent NBC News poll surveyed 1,000 registered voters, offering some valuable insights into the current state of American politics. The poll found that voters are increasingly concerned about the fundamentals of democracy and the Constitution, with about a quarter of respondents citing protecting democracy or constitutional rights as their top issue when deciding how to vote in next year's congressional elections. This suggests that Americans are taking a closer look at the health of their democratic institutions and are eager for leaders who will prioritize these values. The poll also revealed some dim views of both major parties, with only 28% of registered voters holding a positive view of the Democratic Party and 37% viewing the Republican Party positively. This could indicate a sense of disillusionment among voters who may be looking for alternatives or seeking more nuanced approaches to governance. On the issue of immigration, the poll found that voters are divided on the use of ICE and the deployment of troops to the border. While some see these measures as necessary for national security, others view them as heavy-handed or unjustified. This divide highlights the ongoing debate over immigration policy and the need for a more comprehensive and compassionate approach. In terms of foreign policy, the poll touched on the ongoing conflict in Gaza, with voters expressing skepticism about the prospects for a lasting peace agreement between Israelis and Palestinians. Despite these challenges, it's clear that Americans are eager for leaders who will prioritize diplomacy and work towards finding peaceful solutions to complex global problems. As we consider these polling numbers, it's essential to remember that they offer just a snapshot of public opinion at a particular moment in time. Nevertheless, they do provide some valuable insights into the concerns and values of American voters and can help inform our discussions about the future of politics and governance in this country. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.